Welcome, everyone, to this rendition of our live virtual roundtable for Association Insights. This one is on member value reimagined, how associations are evolving to meet modern expectations. For those that don't know me, I'm Colleen Gallagher. I'm the CEO of OnWrd and UpWrd and the publisher and host of Association Insights. And today we're digging into what value truly means today in 25 and 26 to come beyond just benefits. So think belonging, relevance, and impact. And we'll cover flexible models, personalization that actually scales, year-round engagement, which is really key, and then how to align messaging across teams so that you're truly driving retention and growth. We've got three really fantastic membership experts in the association world joining us today. We have Stephanie Denvir, Chief Member Value Officer with Healthcare Financial Management Association. Carrie McGovern, Vice President, Membership Engagement and Volunteerism at the Council for Advancement and Support of Education, and Brian Peters, Senior Director, Membership and Industry Programs for the Adhesive and Sealant Council. I encourage you all to ask questions and hold your own conversations about what's happening in the comments. Christine Stay from the OnWrd and UpWrd team will be in the comments chatting with you all a bit, and then we'll monitor it as we can and try to answer live questions. If not, we'll come back to you in the comments after, because we really want to focus as much time as possible on our conversation today, but also want to get you to get to know the panelists. So I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves, their role in organization, and then one member value challenge or opportunity that they're focused on right now. Brian, let's kick things off.
Sure. I guess you have to be careful what you wish for, because you're good about following up and corralling. So look forward to the conversation. I joined the Adhesive and Sealant Council about 4 years. I'm probably our newest newbie on the staff team. We're lean. There's 7 of us on staff, and I serve in a membership capacity and enjoy working with our members and company memberships, and look forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Carrie, over to you.
Hi, hello everyone. Carrie McGovern. I'm the Vice President of Membership Engagement and Volunteerism at CASE. I have been there a whopping 4 months, so I'm still learning, but it's been a really exciting opportunity. CASE represents individuals that do fundraising or alumni relations in higher ed schools, community colleges. We're about 3,000 member institutions, so we're an institutionally based membership and organizationally based membership, but that constitutes almost 97,000 people underneath, and we're global. So we have regional offices here in DC, in London, Singapore, and Mexico City. And my number one engagement challenge right now, I think, is quantifying engagement, which may resonate across the board.
Yeah, I think that's something everyone can relate to for sure. Stephanie, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Stephanie Denvir. I am the Chief Member Value Officer at HFMA. I've been here just about a year, and our members are focused on financial management and really looking at how to improve financial sustainability and outcomes. And we have 140,000 members. We're focused on the US with a combination of individual and organizational membership types. So it's been an exciting time to have joined the organization. When you mentioned, challenges or opportunities, I think there's so many of both, but really focusing on the opportunity because I'm really excited about the work we're doing to create learning pathways and really transform our learning to meet our members where they're at, because learning for us is the number one reason we're seeing that members join. So I'm really excited about the opportunities there and how we're building engagement across our organization.
That's exciting. I love hearing that. I think one thing when we talk membership, member value is always one of the first things mentioned. And it's just, you can't have a membership conversation without going there. But there is the question of what does that actually mean and for different audiences, and then how do you prove it? So, Stephanie, you oversee a lot. I think it's membership, chapter relations, marketing, learning events, a whole bunch of different functions. How do you align that so members feel value quickly, especially when you're talking about these complex healthcare financial roles?
Yeah, for me, I really think about it in a formula of looking at how do we create the experiences that are meeting our members where they're at and what they're excited about. That's going to drive, kind of experience plus engagement, right? So it's driving that engagement. And to me, that really equals the member value. And to each member, what they perceive as valuable is very different. I also think an important element is building trust. Because if you break that, your members, they're not going to come to you for the content, for the learning, for the networking. So, since I've joined, I've been working with our amazing team to create more experiences in everything we do so that it's creating that stickiness and helping support our volunteer leaders to do that as well and give the tools so that our members feel, that they're excited, because we all know it's how you make everybody feel. So it's that experience, and then really hoping that's going to pull through to the engagement and ultimately that value.
That how you make people feel resonates so much. I think that's that quote that's, people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And that's really a valuable thing for association professionals to think about with membership for sure.
Absolutely.
So Carrie, thinking about both your past role and this role, you obviously led large global membership communities. I want to know about value prop and things that are changing and how that's evolving and how you tie outcomes to engagement and renewals.
Yeah, I'm marinating in what Stephanie said. That was like really beautiful and experience and feeling, and I want to circle back, but I really liked that. Value prop is this ongoing conversation in every association that I've ever worked at. Is there one? Is there 10? What is it? Do we know what it is? I know we've all experienced I know I'm very new in my role here, but also in other places, when you walk around and you ask even your colleagues, what's our value proposition, you might get 25 different answers. So it's an ongoing conversation. In the higher ed space right now, there are definitely some geopolitical challenges. And I think just like in the association space, when there's high uncertainty, it means there's low risk tolerance. And so low risk tolerance I use as a proxy for spend. So members and member institutions are feeling financial pressure. And how do we continue to show ROI on investment in the association when there's simply fewer resources, whether that's member capacity to thoughtfully engage with the organization or actual dollars and cents to spend with the organization? And I'm here to tell you as an expert panelist that I do not have the answer to that.
Oh,
But
no.
I have two observations that I want to share. And one is personalization is really key. So making sure if you have verticals within your membership, personalization doesn't, I know we're all not there with behavioral data, but just even vertical sector personalization to address those market segments and just make sure that they're seeing the right part of your benefit stack. The other thing that was very effective at Case, which I cannot take credit for, is happening before I got here, is they did a risk assessment on their members and identified those that were medium to high risk that also had a significant financial uh, spend with the organization, and went out and did personalized one-on-one presentations about how they're using their benefits, how they could be using their benefits and expanding the reach. So going like breadth versus depth, we're going down into the organization to create a broader swath of value there. And it was very effective. So just a lens to look at that value proposition under.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping you'd answer that $1 million question, but that's incredible insight though. And I love that last piece about what Case is doing on that front, because I do think that's really unique and a really smart way to address those risks and show value to those companies or individuals, depending on your membership structure, that might be considering, do they need to step back or not? So I love that. It's really interesting.
A quick question, because we do something similar, and we often find when we have those discussions, they don't even realize some of the benefits they haven't taken advantage of. So you're like, here's more value, and they get really excited to hopefully, sustain that membership, renewal or continue with the organization. Hopefully, you find the same.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting because we think we're great communicators because we're like, we sent you 15 emails that had all this information in it, right? But to your point, Stephanie, earlier, I think it's that emotional connection. It's like, I'm here, I'm really excited to talk to you about this because you have so much opportunity in your role to be better at your role. And I think that people like the hopefulness of it.
Yeah, that's so true. So, Brian, we had the chance to meet this summer, and I got to learn a little bit more about your organization. And you joke, but you're not wrong. If you mention you'd be willing to do something for me, I will follow up and rope you in. So that's how you're here today.
Bingo.
But one thing I found really interesting was that ASC has really great retention, and I think that's something every association would love. So, what are those like stickiness levers that you have, and how are you showing ROI to keep these companies coming back and staying involved and engaged in the association?
Yeah, we'll use the sticky pun or building bonds. So I particularly like Stephanie's comment, but it's tough. It's hard to articulate or to show. So we started going down the scorecard path a couple of years ago. So we kind of built our own. It's still labor intensive. It's not just a click of a button, but we kind of put some thoughts on paper and teamed up with our marketing colleague to help generate it. But having something shareable that we can, when we're in a member visit, if we're going to see them physically, if they're going to our events, it's a little homework that we can do. It takes time, but so we started going down the scorecarding path a couple of years ago. We'll lean on our AMS provider, our software folks. So they've got some tools that, the first one they rolled out this year was more proactive, listening to us and other of their customers. So it's like a member health kind of audit. It's AI related, but still, it's going back to that people and that trust factor. To Stephanie's point, is absolutely spot on. So yeah, we'll lean on our software provider to make the recommendations, advise different tools and bells and whistles that we need, and they're going to be rolling out an updated engagement scorecard here after the new year. So just to kind of get a better grip and hands on understanding that data and those engagement touch points.
Yeah, I think what stands out for me is that you're combining data technology, but not losing the trust and the touch
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it's at to succeed in membership. So I'd love to know from any of you if there's anything that your association has stopped doing this year because members didn't see the value, even if you might have liked it internally or thought it was something that you should keep doing. Any takers on this one?
So what to kill, what to stop. I mean, we do different, trend related reports and marketing reports. And so we're, we corralled our board of directors and, we're in the process now. We have it semi-finalized, but, we rolled up the sleeves and did a lot of hard work, updating our strategic plan, our long range plan. And I think listening to our board members and other members what they value or what they're not getting. And, sometimes we get in that tunnel vision that, oh, it's a member benefit. They want it. They see the value, and so that kind of took us a step back. But I think getting that member feedback, that honest feedback was certainly a gut check. And we're in the process of reimagining what those trend reports look like in the future, doing a one and done every 3 to 5 year type report. They want it more instant. They want it more timely. So that's what we're in the process of, getting to.
Mm-hmm.
Colleen, I can add one thing that I think about for at HFMA, well, and most associations I've been at, killing those legacy things are the hardest things to do, right? Everybody's got their favorite, that was like the steeped in tradition. It's so hard. And I would say that not necessarily kill, but I applaud before I before I came to HFMA, they mentioned, there's a great program event we had just for our chapter leaders. It was a training and it was like an honor to come and everyone loved it. And while it was amazing for this important audience, we realized we weren't servicing the full membership. and we're getting all this feedback that we've got so many members interested in leadership and soft skills. So one of our amazing team members, she thought, let's redesign this so that we can meet not only the needs of our chapter leaders, but also our members who want those leadership skills, and totally revamped this conference to become a leadership summit that sold out. And it became a pipeline. Then it's a pipeline for our chapter. So I think it's always not always just stopping, but like pausing to think, how can we change it to fit the current needs? And so I'm excited because we're going to build upon that success for this upcoming year and continue to evolve it. So I think that's a way to look at it too, because then it's like we still have it. And I think some of those volunteer leaders, they kept saying, but it was better the way it was. And I'm like, we got to give it time, right? So it's exciting to kind of continue to drive that change.
Yeah, I love the reinvention and the not being afraid to try something new. And despite getting those few comments, it's the bigger picture. It's overall, are more members happy and excited about this? And it sounds like it was a pretty big win on that front.
Yeah, it was great. So I'm excited to see, this year as we even add more to it to create that experience that they're going to love.
That's awesome. Carrie, any other thoughts before we dive into personalization a bit deeper?
I want to offer that every association struggles with this, and because it's sunk costs, right? Or someone spent a lot of time creating it, but we found like looking at staff capacity was a really good lens when evaluating it. So what could we be doing if we free up staff time to do other things that we're spending on this legacy project? And that was like very illuminating. And so finance people are screaming allocated budgeting at the screen right now. That's really what it looks like. And so what is the potential for innovation and growth if we decide we're going to sunset these things?
That's such a smart way of looking at it. It's interesting. On the podcast, we had someone on earlier this year that talked about looking at the different programs your association does through a startup methodology, and it just ruthlessly asking questions about everything you're doing. And is there value still? Well, do we have the time for this? Do we have the staff? Does it make sense? And you do have to constantly reevaluate, or it does just fulfill the prophecy of associations of we do it because we've always done it. All right. Well, everyone wants to talk personalization. I know that's like the topic du jour of the last few years, really, and one that's not going away anytime soon. But I think there is a lot of hesitancy around how do we actually do it. In my world of PR, it's the taking the time to not just have it be a high first name and that's your personalization. It's actually having personalized communication. It's being able to have data and segmentation, create personalized communications, things like that. So I want to really get into how you all are using data, using segments to create personalized experiences. And especially if that can be done without increasing headcount and adding way more workload to association staff, especially small associations, that can be really difficult. So, Stephanie, why don't you kick us off here and talk about what signals you're watching and how you're trying to tailor experiences within your communities?
I'm really excited about what we're doing here. So first of all, I feel like we have not done the best job, and I think most of the associations I've been at, to really look into the data. And so we have some great leaders that I get to partner with who are focused on data-driven decision making. So we're revamping to make sure we've got dashboards, something our board wants, across the board of all of our, different across the enterprise, all of our products, services, everything we're doing, and making them available to all the staff. So there's a source of truth. So it's a process and it's taking a while. But looking at personalization, when I think about it, we're also looking at how we can, just as you said, eliminate some of the staff burden. And I'm so excited because we are partnering with this amazing new startup called Rally Board. And we're one of the pilot organizations where we're creating cohorts based on like peer segment groups. So right now we're piloting with our emerging leaders because that's a really important audience that we want to cater, different aspects of our volunteer leaders. And we're going to be rolling out to different communities. But it's exciting because it doesn't take a staff to administer it. it's set up like as we're testing, but as we set it up, they become self-sufficient. The members in the group can, pick a leader to facilitate. They can, through the different technology, they can add agenda items. They pick when they want to meet, and it does it automatically. Where the staff, their guide, they're checking in, but we don't have to have one staff person setting up all of these different cohorts,
Wow.
and we can so easily scale. So I'm so excited about where we're going with it, because it's a way for us to create like sustainable experiences and meaningful networking relationships within our association for people to meet across the country and find like-minded reasons to connect. And I know for me personally, I was a member of a women's organization that had cohorts, and that was the number one value to me, was my cohort, that we were together for 2 years and built really amazing relationships. So when this opportunity came and I met the CEO of Railroad, I was like, absolutely, I'm all in. And we're seeing the engagement from our members, and I'm excited to when we can roll it out here later in the next, this later next year. I can't believe I'm saying next year, but it's 2026. But
Yeah,
it's
in 2
really
weeks.
exciting.
That is so cool. I can't wait to hear how it goes. So I'd love to have you back to come share with that, because
Absolutely.
that's really new and something different. And I love hearing about new tests and how they go. So that's awesome. Carrie, I know this is a personal favorite topic of yours. So I want to hear, from onboarding to AI content targeting, what are the quick wins? What are the best things that you like to do for personalization?
I do love new member onboarding. It's so lame, but I do, because listen, it's the most important time of the new member life cycle, is those first 90 days. And I always say you have to teach them how to be a member, and you have to teach them how the experience will be. Um, I want to talk about what we did at ECC, because that program had more time to breathe, and we could show some really interesting results in what we did there. Um, ACC had a data problem in which we were a hybrid structure. So it had, this is my former organization, both individual members and organization-based members. So the individuals, when they're signing up for their membership, they're giving us all relevant information about themselves. On the organization side, we sort of had a black hole other than name, title, email, state, or country on the members, because often it was an administrator that was uploading all of the people in bulk. So we didn't have any of their areas of interest or job functions, or the things that let us do some personalization. So when it came to new member onboarding, we almost had two streams. One for people that we knew we had a lot of information about, and we wanted to learn what they were interested in. And the other one was sort of a fact-finding mission about what can we learn about you so that we can bring you over to this other stream. We can make sure that we're delivering the correct content to you. And my new member onboarding things are, it is counterintuitive, but you actually want to send them more emails, not less. I'm sure we've all been in that, gotten a welcome letter from an association that's like 3 scrolls long, and it links to every single benefit that you have in the entire association. It's just not digestible. It's not how people consume information anymore. So what we did is we started sending more free. I think our onboarding series got up to 10 emails in the first 90 days, but we also suppressed them from receiving the majority of the other emails that the association was spending outside of big announcements. But there were no sponsored e-blasts, no follow-up emails, no, let me tell you who the keynote speaker is in the regional conference. It was very curated, because we wanted to make sure that they were taking a certain set of behaviors. And that behavioral piece was really important to seeing where we're being successful or not. So after 3 emails, if we pulled a report and saw that the people in this new member onboarding cohort have not logged into the website, then we know that they're at risk. So we can go and deliver another intervention, and that could be a phone call, that could be reaching out to the primary coordinator on the account, it could be having the chapter do outreach. It would depend on what that data was surfacing. So my advice there is you need to pick your inflection point. And it took us a while to get to the 3 emails. And there's a lot of career stage nuance in there, but that generally worked for us. If we did the intervention there, then we had a higher rate of first year retention. And you want to make the actions bite-sized. Have them do one thing, introduce one comment. Do not let your colleagues say something like, well, if you're talking to them about this webinar, why wouldn't you just put in an advertisement for the annual meeting underneath? I was like, because we're talking about webinars, because what can they do with the webinar? They can click on this button, they can register it for free right now. And that's the action that I want them to take. So again, increase the number of emails, but decrease the number of emails that people are seeing from the entire organization, and then find your inflection point. Look at where people start dropping off the onboarding process, where your open rates or your click rates go down, and use that as an indicator of where you need to change your messaging.
Yeah, I love everything about that. I know we've talked about this before, and every client we work with now, we always bring this up. And I think it's such an important and interesting way to onboard new members that drives that action and gets them engaged early. And from all of the data we can see out there, it's that early engagement that builds loyalty and that keeps them coming back. So I think that that's such good advice, and it's doable. It's not this massive undertaking of we need to call every single new member and make sure they're doing this and check on everything. It's an automated series you can set up, and with that level of monitoring and knowing those inflection points to know when you do have to step up and do more versus when, okay, things are working, we can take a step back here. So I think that's really, really good advice there. Brian, I'd like to get your take on what data points or conversation cues that you see from member companies that might predict that renewal or whether they're at risk of not renewing, and how you're operationalizing outreach around those.
Yeah, the prediction. I wish I had that.
Wouldn't that be great?
I wish I had that. I mean, just, I don't know, you look at like our events and all the different stuff that we do, like, you look at that member where it's event only, event only, event only, and nothing else. So that kind of raises, the hair up on the back of my neck a little bit. And then certainly the dues paying only. It's all they do is just pay dues. So to me, that's a red flag, or, high risk of them just not seeing the value. I think the big thing too, just when that key person leaves, we tried to get to, I think it was Carrie's point, kind of wider and deeper, not just having the billing contact and the primary contact, but kind of diversifying, the types of functions, the types of people and associates that we want to work with, But yeah, when that key person leaves, I'm watching that or trying to watch it. So using LinkedIn, using social media, and kind of, back into it, see potentially where they're going. Some cases it's an opportunity when they go to a different company or a prospective company. I want to be all over that. So in some cases it's good for us. So, but yeah, certainly that people change. We do a yearly engagement satisfaction survey. We might get 20%, 30% response rate. So it's not huge, but are there indicators, are there comments, are there feedback within that? And we kind of ask some of those probing questions, the likelihood to renew next year in 2026. So kind of getting my arms around, that data is certainly important. And I think the personalized outreach, I'm 51, so old school, pick up the phone, I mean, I agree with Carrie's comment 100%. The email, that's kind of more the proactive or maybe the new member, but somebody that we have a deeper I'm going to be picking up the phone and, asking pointed questions and trying to get some answers. So old school.
I love it. It's funny, in the PR world, old school is new again. I mean,
Yeah.
Reporters are so bombarded that with emails that if you call them, they're like, "Oh, good, a person. I can talk to someone," and excited. So
no, I mean, I looked at, the title of this, panel session and discussion, and, I really kind of was going back and, Reimagined, to me, and to your point a little bit, it's almost going back to the basics, to a degree, like what, not getting stuck in the past and history, but, where do we call time out, and like, what's the blocking and tackling that we need to do to kind of, move the ball. So, some of this is just let's do what we do well.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to put you all on the spot here with a quick pulse question. So what is one underused data point that every association should be tracking to personalize value by next quarter? So Carrie, I'll let you
Person,
go first.
yeah.
Yeah. Spend. How much are they spending with
Okay.
your organization?
Brian.
Gosh, man, quick fire here. I don't know about the personalization, but I at times overlook, what are those win back opportunities? I'm not looking or, consistently on a monthly basis or weekly basis, but like go back several years, who are some of those drop companies, cancellations? Can we re-nurture and get them back on board? They saw value at one point, something happened. What was that? But I overlooked that data at times. And then we instituted our own NPS internal, as part of our AMS platform. We've got a nice, consistent daily, weekly, monthly NPS tracker. So I'm looking at that data almost daily and what are those comments? What's that feedback and that instant follow-up with somebody that's a 2 or a 3? What are we doing wrong? And having those conversations. So NPS would be my second idea or
Yeah,
use.
love that. Stephanie, how about you?
I think we're trying to do a better job of tracking kind of what benefit utilization or what they've stopped using, right? Because a trigger to be like, wait a minute, why aren't they, is this dated content? Is it not relevant? So that we can make sure we're still delivering. So we're really trying to look at how some of those metrics around that build that engagement.
I love that because I do think we often look at like, oh, this many people use this, but you're not always saying people have stopped using this. That's a really good indicator there. I like that as a thing to track and pay attention to.
I think one thing that we're seeing as a challenge to Brian's earlier point, email, our members are over inundated, and also our members are in healthcare. So a lot of them have really strong firewalls. And we also noticed they'll be like, well, we aren't getting the emails. And maybe they change something in the way that they're allowing things through, or ours, and we ask them to white label. So it's constantly a challenge to ensure that they're actually getting our emails. So we're really working on how do we diversify our communications. And it can't just be one thing, right? You can't just email, has to be through all different channels, personalization, so personal email, social, even the call. I agree with you, Brian. Like I'm old school of like, pick up the phone. I told the team when I started, like, if we're going to be sending Teams messages like 2 or 3 times, I'm going to just call you. Like, because I'm like, at some point, it's going to be faster. Let's have a conversation. So I think making sure we're, doing all different types of communication to be successful, because I like that call out, Brian. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, that segues really good into the next segment here I wanted to hit on. And you talk about members being inundated, everyone in today's world. I mean, we are constantly getting information pushed to us on our watches, on our phones, on every device in our house. And it's hard to stand out and to show that value. And so that's where this year-round engagement idea comes in. And really having solid content that drives value, having a community that people feel they're a part of. I think while more than ever we need that feeling of community in today's world. I think it's been a really hard year for a lot of people, just with the constant bombardment of breaking news. And so, I'm curious how associations are stepping up and delivering value there and creating the community that really drives that value. And is it programs? Is it content to drive that year-round engagement? So, Brian, especially with you having an association that looks at member companies rather than just a specific individual member, and I know a lot of associations are in that position. What are the programs that are driving that value, not just across the people within the company that are participating in events, but that shows the decision maker at that company that this is worth it for us. Like I need my team participating in this.
Well, that very question that surfaced in our strat planning exercise over the summer. It's like, how can we better get that information, that data, that C-level executive? We do well with, some of the technical community, the R&D type folks, but that, deeper engagement with the C-level executive, that's homework for us to do and figure out. So that's constantly. But I think from a program standpoint, you look at a new member and their application, and oh well, Brian, we want to be in the know. Well, what does in the know mean? Like with that, I can go 30 different ways, but that data, the trend information. Hey, Brian, we want to be a step ahead of our main competitor or friendly competitor. So again, reimagining how we do this big yearly report every 3 or 4 or 5 years. We're going down the path of more of like a pulse sort of update, or instead of hiring a flashy consultant, pay them tons of money to do it. So the other option that we're exploring is, well, let's get data from our members. They have to roll up the sleeves and participate. They've got to enter whatever those questions or data points are. So it's different versus using that outside person or consultant.
Gives them
where
skin in the game.
now, and that's easier from a membership perspective. I'll have that conversation every day, but we want their active engagement. So that's kind of what we're flipping now, is to actually have our members not just do a survey or just not hop on the line with the consultant, but again, these would be probably more quarterly type rollouts, but we want their skin in the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. So, Carrie, you mentioned Case operates across regions and roles. So, where are you seeing the best lift when it comes to this engagement and ongoing engagement and continuing to drive ROI?
It's really interesting. This conversation is changing a little bit. I think I would answer this question. It's really it's interesting about scale in an association that started as a US-based association, and then over the last 10 years has gone global, because our global regional markets are naturally smaller, and so have a lot of capacity to innovate and try new things and deliver highly tailored experiences, because they don't have the problem of scale that I have in the US and Canada market, where I'm dealing with almost, 2,500 of our 3,000 institutions, as opposed to smaller amounts in our regions. But what I think is great about that is you can really empower the regions to deliver those personalized experiences. They need guardrails, and we need to be clear about what we're going to support, both strategically and financially. But they have a lot of ability to make personal connections and put on the right kind of programming and really go deep in their regions. Something I'm working on in the US of Canada, as I have described, I have this problem of scale. So how do we scale an experience that feels intimate? Stephanie, to your point, feels almost cohorty. And what we're starting to do is leverage our volunteers in our different districts to do a little bit of that work for us. And I've been talking to the team about what that looks like, because I don't like volunteers in bill collector roles. We're not just going to deploy a volunteer because someone hasn't paid their check. We want to establish those meaningful relationships, those emotional relationships that tie a peer-to-peer relationship to the organization, and not just, oh yeah, I get the newsletter type. So ask me next year. I'll tell you how we're doing.
I can't wait to hear. No, it's not easy. I mean, the scale is the challenge, right? Because if you just have this small subset, you can do almost anything. But how do you create something that works across large membership organizations effectively without, 100 new staff? Because we all know associations just have endless staff.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I was not given the budget for 100 new staff.
And to me, that's just, it's kind of mind-boggling. It's, we're a staff of 6. We have 130 intimate member companies versus 140, 30,000 or 3,000 organizations. It's just, it's like, it's, that scale. Absolutely, Carrie. That's a good point. So, yeah.
I echo what Carrie's saying, because I think all the associations I've worked for, the chapters are like the heart and soul. They're your extended staff, but they're really making that community in that local area. And at HFMA, it's amazing. We have it's set up with regions and then chapters under each region. And they're creating those special programs and the kind of that, making people feel that like it's their family. And it's so, they've welcomed me in, and it's so awesome to see, when they get together and the programs are tailored to their needs. We're seeing a huge reaction. They've been building these women's programs, and it's a groundswell, and they're like selling out across the country and all working together to share ideas. So I think, from a program and content, what's working well, like we're seeing our chapters are driving amazing engagement and filling a gap we can't be in every local, area. That's not our role, but we're able to partner with them and provide support with content ideas and speakers. So it's a great partnership.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I'm curious, when we talk about this engagement and you all have so many different ways you're tackling it. One thing we're seeing and hearing is that members expect to see visible leadership. It's not just the organization said this anymore. So it could be the executive director. It might be someone in a membership role like you all. It might be a researcher, or an economist, depending on the association. Sometimes it's a board member. But at the same time, we talked about this like inundation of data and information for everyone. So how are you all elevating that leadership, those leadership roles, and getting them in front of folks without just overwhelming the feed that everyone's getting? Stephanie, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, we do a couple things. So one thing we oftentimes will have a board member, like this year our board chair has been traveling to different chapters to speak. We have a whole process of requests to make sure, because he could get over inundated. The chapters can, right, if everybody's hearing, but that's a great way to get that board presence or other board members. Our CEO, she recognizes the value of our amazing members, and she is front and center and present with them, attending events when it makes sense. And then in the messaging, we've been trying to focus on cascading messaging so that it's intentional. And when we have something big, we start with maybe the main, a different committee, like the board, then the committees, the councils, down to the members. So they feel that they're part of whatever that communication is, and that they're hearing it first, because then hopefully there's a little more buy-in, but then they're hopefully also reinforcing that message. So, I think like a combination of how we're communicating and then being intentional about putting people out on the road. Like myself, I've been going to more chapter events and other staff, but we don't like just send everybody can go. We're really intentional about who's going to what meeting and trying to balance it. So they're also getting diverse perspectives from the society. And I think it might have been Carrie, just, making sure that, they see us as partners as well, and that we're out there. Somebody had mentioned something to that. So, we're really trying a couple different things, but also not having them just go directly to the board, because the board gets overwhelmed with that. And as well as, we don't want to open those floodgates, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that you said intentional though, because I think in anything we do in this world, you have to be intentional to have it have any kind of impact. So that resonates a lot. Carrie, any thoughts on this one?
You turned on the governance part of my brain, Stephanie, where I like volunteer governance is such an important part of this conversation, because again, in a situation where I need to scale a case evangelist beyond our staff, because we're going to send our CEO to high level events and events where we're partnering with other organizations. She can't be everywhere, and nor is it appropriate for her to be
Right.
everywhere, or for her voice to be everywhere. So how are we training and empowering our volunteers to be able to communicate the value message appropriately? And I think that comes back, that boomerangs immediately back to us. And do we have training protocols? Are we identifying the right volunteers who can do this elegantly on our behalf? And then how are we making sure we have a pipeline of volunteers behind them that can step into that role easily as people transition in and out of the organization?
Yeah, that pipeline of volunteers, that's the key. Awesome. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, no, just real quick. I mean, Bill Allman, our president, he does a great job of, and Carrie said it, that bite size, breaking it down. He does a bang up job with video, short 2 minute, 3 minute sort of updates. So, distilling that on social media, or maybe it's just a dedicated video to the board or certain committees. So just kind of breaking it up into smaller chunks, more manageable, but then hitting them on a consistent, once a month, once a quarter, but getting it out there on a regular schedule. So I think the use of video is one of his benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think video is so strong for that. And like you said, bite size. I mean, no one's going to sit and watch a 30-minute TED Talk, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
might check out that 90-second update that's been
And
posted.
Stephanie kind of said it too. And most of our members, one big space is building and construction space. So yeah, it's a balanced, going to them, or I try to just question constantly, where do our members hang out? Well, we need to be there. Their customers, our customers there. So just kind of having that balanced approach, and yeah, identifying those opportunities of where we should be also. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. I want to do a little exercise here, and this is something my team does at the end of the year every year in a similar way, and it's the stop, start, and scale. And we did hit on the stop, although I'll give you a chance if there's anything new or different after having this conversation that you would add. But we're just going to do a little lightning round where everyone just shares what's one thing association should stop doing, one thing they should start doing, and what would you like to scale in 26 because it's working. So does anyone have a different stop from what you said earlier let's go, Brian.
Yeah. I mean, just the mindset, and you said it earlier, the startup mindset, that's going to be my phrase, I think, moving into 26. But, the tendency to be slow, we overanalyze, we don't, we don't need to be perfect. You know what I mean? Just start. So I think let's kind of get out of that natural habit and take a risk. We're not going to upset the board. We're not going to do anything crazy, but where can we act faster? I think that's kind of one of my areas of focus.
Yeah, I love that. Carrie, how about you?
Well, Brian changed my mind. My original one was stop treating your board of directors like it's your target audience, because they're not.
Oh,
But now I
smart.
had been thinking about this a little bit, but now because Brian talked about it, I think we need to stop doing annual member surveys.
Mm.
Oh.
What's
And
the reasoning behind that?
They're stale. The minute you get those results and they become
Start tools.
actionable, it could be 18 months old.
Yeah.
I don't see the value in those anymore. And Brian, I think
you have my support.
you solidified that for
You have
me.
my
Hot take for the
support.
win.
And we do it. We did it 3 months ago. I mean, and I agree. It's like we need to blow that up, reimagine it, and maybe it's shorter. Just a check-in, sort of one question. What's keeping our members up at night? Sort of stuff. But yeah, having the typical end of the year or beginning of,
Yeah.
that's
We
left the
do it
station.
a monthly, 1/12 of the membership. We do monthly, and we call it
Mhm.
the
That's
omnibus. So
interesting.
we can
Okay.
change. There's some questions the same, some that we change, but then we can have monthly results and be checking. So that may be happy to
Less
talk
pressure.
offline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie,
Yeah.
do you have a new stop or do you want to hop into the
I
stop?
still think like we're looking, what are some of I think for us still the legacy, like just checking what do we have, because we've got some great tradition. We're coming on our 80th anniversary. So, just still looking at where can we reimagine. I think to the title of that I would still say that, but I like Brian's a lot. I'm going to think about it.
Love it. All right. Well, Stephanie, I'm going to let you kick off the next round. What's one thing that to start doing in 2026?
So I mentioned we're really focused on data, and where I see a big gap is data hygiene. And it's a constant battle, and we need to spend more focus because it's the key to personalization. It's the key to segmentation. If you don't have current data, I mean, it's how are we going to meet our members' needs? So to me, that's something we've got to start doing more and really serious about it.
Yeah, love that. Carrie, how about you?
I want to start doing quarterly NPS surveys.
Amazing. Brian, over to you.
Well, I mentioned my age earlier, and I still overlook it. I need cheaters now, but my little post-it note, referrals, referrals, referrals. It's like we have 2 or 3 key categories of members, and company A deals with company B deals with company. It's like just asking them, who else should be part in the sandbox, and so just asking for more referrals and getting in that habit of politely approaching our present base and who should be part of the community.
Yeah, to the point about referrals, I'm not going to remember right now who said it, but one of my favorite quotes that was ever told to me on the podcast, and we're in our 5th year next year, so it's been going on for a while, was someone said, "No one tells a member story like a member." And I just think that's such gold. And it's so
They
that, I
say
mean,
it, they say it in a
referrals.
different way. It's like, take
Yeah.
your cap off, my ASC cap, and yeah, I want the member to talk to the member.
Yes.
They say it in discreet. You're spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I always loved that quote. All right. Last one. Carrie, you're going to kick us off with this. What do you want to scale in 2026 because it's working?
I want to figure out how to scale membership relationship management. And I'm very specifically not saying account management, but I think it has the guts of account management.
I like the word relationship in there. I think that is an important differentiator there. That's great. Brian?
I put, again, going back to our NPS tool or, instrument, whatever. It's like, we created some of those key kind of, I don't know, the data set, 2 years ago, year and a half. I think we need to tweak it, kind of expand, who gets the NPS survey and kind of focus more on there and use it consistently. So that's would be my focus.
Great. Stephanie, how about you?
I really want to focus on creating like integrated member journeys,
Mhm.
pathways for everything. Just we're doing it. We're starting it with learning, but connecting it with community, with all of our content, so that we're really bringing our members exactly what they want and getting rid of the noise around them. So I'm looking at how we can scale that and working with our amazing team on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's gonna be an exciting year ahead for all of you. So I can't wait to hear how it goes and hear the best practices coming out of that for next year. We'll have to do this again. We've got a few minutes left here, so if anyone listening wants to leave a question in the comments, one thing we did get asked was around AI. So obviously we can't have a conversation without that coming up and how that fits into things. So I'll open this up for any of you that want to jump in, but the question is, where has AI or automation actually helped reduce workload while improving personalization? Do anyone even have experience there?
I mean, we're dabbling in it. I probably more from a creativity marketing standpoint. Kind of using AI in that capacity. And one note that I had in preparation for the panel discussion, it's like I don't want to be AI. I want it to be people to people. I mean, that's the value of the panelists here, everybody listening to the call. It's like you know where is that personalization? Where is that human to human? And I think that's our benefit. That's our value that we bring individually, our functions, our roles. And it's like, so I don't know. I mean, we're at the early stages of exploring AI and using different tools. But again, going back to our software AMS providers, they're doing it. They're already, steps ahead of us. So hopefully the new tools that will be coming out, again, it's a gauge. I want to trust it 100%, but it's another data point that we can look at and use as a tool, and but still go back to that gut level is important.
I'm excited. We actually are playing a lot with it. So we're more so not to replace people, but to create efficiency. So one thing, on our team, it's like we're encouraging people to try things, but one of our head of client services, she kind of took all of the feedback related to our customer care team. And from that, she's seeing, where there's patterns. So now we can be ahead of answering those concerns and try to offset it with different communications of where we're seeing those ongoing, issues. So that's one place. We brought in this amazing new learning experience director, and he's using AI for a lot of the development. He's found an 80% reduction in time to create content. It's amazing. Like, there's no way we would, he's like, if we would have created some of these courses, it would take months and weeks. And now we can sometimes do it in the 90 minutes, right? Like a bite-sized learning. So that's pretty incredible. So we're able to create scale and more offerings to our members. And then another thing, which I think all members probably, or people who have events struggle with, you always get those photos after the event. And I remember about a year or so ago, one of my staff was like, we got to get these to all the speakers and we got to go through each one and send them. And that is laborsome. Well, there's technology now that it will, you take the photos. If somebody puts their face in it, it will send you all the photos that you're in. And so not only is association getting it, now the attendees, they can create their own like LinkedIn posts. So they're celebrating the event. And we didn't have to spend the time of digging through every photos, identifying folks. So, I mean, I think those are just a couple things, but there's a lot of cool things you can do. And it's not replacing the people. It's not replacing the human contact, but it's creating efficiency. So I'm excited about those opportunities. And I know there's more coming next year.
That's really cool. I hope no one I work for or my board members are on this, but I've created like a prompt for like an act as prompt for board meetings, for my CEO, for my boss, so that if I have a proposal or if I'm walking in a meeting, I'm like generate questions that they might ask so that I can start thinking about how I'm going to answer them or say, and think about how I should answer them in a way that this person would be receptive to it or this group of people would be receptive to it. And it sounds super creepy to do that, and it is a little bit. Once you have the prompt down, it's actually been really helpful in having not, I don't want to say consensus, but better conversations. Like I love healthy debate. So like let's get to the part where we're talking about the things that we need to talk about and making sure that I'm expressing myself clearly in these meetings so that we don't get caught up in some other part of the conversation that the AI would tell me, be like, this person's really focused on this. So when you talk about this, you have to talk about it in a certain way. So I'm big brothering my leadership structure, I guess.
I love all this. I love that you're all trying things that you're still thinking, how do we make it human and not have it take over things, but being creative and innovative, it's exciting, and I can't wait to see where it goes and what we can do better by doing it right and using it ethically and smartly and just trying. Like what are the possibilities? I think that's really awesome. This has been so much fun. I am so appreciative of the three of you giving your time, your generosity, your insights. Just a lot to think about, and and some good ideas for next year. For everyone that tuned in live, thank you. Or if you're watching the replay, we appreciate you catching it here. We'd love to keep the conversation going, so please be sure to follow Onward and Upward and Association Insights for more conversations. We talk member value, we talk engagement, growth, advocacy, comms, you name it. We've got a weekly podcast and newsletter where we talk about the latest trends in the association world. And please don't forget to connect with our panelists on LinkedIn. We've dropped all of their handles in the comments here, so reach out to them. I'm sure I'm volunteering them all right now. I'm sure they'd be happy to chat and connect with you all. But I genuinely appreciate everyone, and Carrie, Brian, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.